with you.
Yeah.
So, yes, good morning and welcome. I am delighted to have the lovely Nettie Marie live with me today and for our uplifting conversation. And we are going to be talking all things courage and encouraging you all to step into your courage and pursue whatever it is you want to do in life, and not hide in the um, overwhelm of fear, because we know that fear holds us back, and we want to see you move forward. The more we move away from fear, the more we step into our courage and become who we really want to be or do what we really want to do, the better off we are. So, welcome, Nettie Marie. I'm so excited to have you back on. We've had a few programs together before, and it's been a long time since we've joined forces. So, I'm so excited. And anyone who is here, please say hello in the comments. This will be an interactive conversation. If you have got questions, statements, or something to share, please join in the conversation, and please share it out so that other people can hear the wonderful news. So, Nettie, would you like to just start off with telling people a little bit about what you do? Because I think we'll have a lot of people who already know who you are, but there'll be a lot of people who will be wondering, who is this lovely Nettie Marie with the gorgeous feather in her hair?
Yes, I've got my feather in my hair. I always either have a plait or a feather in my hair. Hi, I'm Nettie Marie. A lot of people know me from Angelic Mystic Realm, and I did swap out from that name for a little while to Soul Nourish, but it didn't fit me anymore. So I went back to Angelic Mystic Realm, and that feels right.
Oh, I
Um,
love it. I love it.
yeah. So I'm an ex-nurse. I do a lot of healing work. I do a lot of energy work. I'm a psychic. I'm a medium. I'm an empath. I'm an intuitive. I mean, you can put all the labels you want on. I don't like labels, so I really struggle with introducing that kind of thing, but you kind of need it to tell people what you do. But I do a lot of work worldwide. I have done professionally for 15 years, and I've also done this work since I was 6 years old, when I had my first near-death experience and was introduced to the angelic realm. So
Mm.
I've worked with angels every day of my life. I teach about angels and what they can do for
So
you in your life.
you keep going.
Yep. And yeah, so I do readings, and my readings don't consist of cards or pendulums or anything. I actually become a conduit for messages from your guardians, because when we're born, we're actually gifted guardians, and they stay with us from our first breath and until we pass over into our next lifetime. So they're very different to spirit guides. And your guardians come in and they never leave your side. So you're never alone. And I know that a lot of people do feel alone at times, but you literally are never, ever, ever alone. And I love that we're going to be talking about courage today, because that's something most people I know have had to pull into their lifetime, whether that be from life circumstances, trauma, divorce, moving house, whatever that looks like, because everyone has a different version of courage. I often hear people say, oh, I'm not very courageous because I only had this, this, and this. And we should never compare ourselves to another, because our courage is our courage, whatever that looks like. Our courage can be totally different to somebody else, but it's significant to us. And I pulled a card for us all
Oh,
today, because that's something
yes,
I always do.
yes.
And I got the You Are Enough card, which is
Ah,
courage,
thank
because your courage comes from within. It's not something you can get from without. Even though you can utilize tools like oils, like Kay is going to
you.
talk about, that's great, because that will enhance your courage, but your courage comes from within. So I love that we pulled the You Are Enough card, because most people don't know that they are enough right now.
Oh, absolutely. Now, on that note, then I'll pull a card, but you keep talking. I love that idea that, courage means something different to everybody. And at some stage of our life, things can be thrown in our way that if we don't find the courage within, to me, you either sink or you swim. And many years ago, I was in that situation and I decided that I'd rather swim than sink. So,
yeah, I love that. And I just want to say, sorry, I forgot. Good
no,
morning, everyone. Hello to everyone who's joined. I'm so sorry. I got on my little rampant
that's
and I
okay.
forgot to
That's
say
okay.
hello.
So
Hi,
many.
everyone.
Hey,
Yeah, look, courage is, I believe we face courage every day because for some people, just getting out of bed takes them so much courage. If they're suffering from an illness or
mhm,
from, depression, whatever, like some people need assistance to get out of bed, and that can be all they can do for that day. That's courage. Courage is showing up even when you don't want to show up. And hey, guys, haven't we all been there? Haven't we all had a moment in our life where we just didn't want to show up anymore, but we still did? We still kept forging forward. I personally don't know anyone in my lifetime so far that hasn't had a form of courage. I've even had, because I work a lot with women, because I'm a woman and I've had a lot of trauma in my life. So I like to help other women through trauma. And something they'll say is, well, I wasn't courageous because I. But then when I turn that around and show them that regardless of that, they still did A, B, C, D, or E, and they sit back and really reflect on that. And I think we forget how powerful we are, Kay.
yes, and exactly. You can be, as I say, you can be bubbling along in life, and then something throws a whammy out of somewhere that if from a direction that we weren't expected,
Yeah,
and that means we've got to learn to pivot. And I think all of us have been experiencing that in the last few years. I think the whole world got a little bit of a shake up, possibly a much needed shake up. Maybe that's not the kind, definitely not the kind of shake up we desired, but we've all come through whatever we've been through and out the other side, and hopefully that has also given us more resolve, more tools, more ideas, and more confidence in, yes, who would have thought that the world would have, every plane in the world was grounded worldwide. I mean, everybody was affected. So there's been this global change and a global consciousness change that we've all been experienced, and so many things of our change that gets thrown into our uh, daily whatever. It's not in our direct control. So for a lot of people, not living in control brings up issues, particularly for those of us who have been through abuse on whatever level. And I would actually even say everyone's been through abuse on some level throughout their life, whether
yeah,
they think, feel, or whatever. It might be, the 2-year-old that, was reprimanded for something that they felt was innocent and about, but that whatever happened, those words from our parents or whoever was giving us those words have
yeah,
a powerful effect and influence us for the rest of our lives.
yeah,
And I think we get to a point, Nettie, where we've got to look at whatever's been thrown our way and then unpack that. And I know you're a great advocate of mirror work and looking deep within, and learning to love ourselves through the thick and thin. And there's so many things we can do. So I'm just going to pull out an oil card, seeing as you've pulled out a card, and let's see. This is a message, a general message. Now we've got Emma for the collective. Emma, we're not sure whether we're doing readings today. We haven't we're just going to see how this conversation flows. My readings will be on tomorrow night at 7:15 on Spiritual Events Directory, and but we may get to some. Who knows? So hang in, give us some questions. We will be doing just some general things in support of everybody here today. So if you do want some insight, place your requests in the comments. And can I just, before I read this card. Hello, Miranda, Zita, and Raymond, and Sophie, and Emma, and whoever else is here. Christine Thomas. I don't know. Can you see the comments, Nettie?
I can see comments, but
Yeah,
I can only see some names. Others are just Facebook
yes,
user.
yeah.
So that's why I'm not saying names. I'm just saying a general hello.
Yes, that's right. And we've got Ireland in the house. We've got UK in the house. So that's beautiful.
Welcome.
Now, and the oil that I've pulled out for us today is myrtle, and it's about being illuminated or disheartened. So it fits nicely in with courage. And the affirmation is, I create beauty and hearts blossom. Now, imagine if we all were in that mindset and in synchronicity with that. I create beauty and hearts blossom. And what was your words again on yours?
You are good enough.
You are good enough. So
Yeah.
just knowing you are good enough, and what is good enough, and how do you measure that anyway? It's really got to come from within.
Yes, I love that. And that's so important because, you know, I do work with a lot of women who compare themselves to others. And what I say, it's no judgment. I'm just like thinking my thoughts, but a lot of women will actually compare themselves to influencers, you know, like the TikTok influencers who seem to have it all. And, you know, people have even gone behind the scenes of influencers and come out and said, guys, what we show you isn't real life. Like, it is for us in that moment in front of the camera, but we still have bills. We still have, you know, relationship breakups. We still have, and they're really starting to bring that out now because people are setting themselves up against something that's not real, and you can't compete with something. Well, you shouldn't be competing anyway, but my point being is they will compare themselves to something that's not real.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Yes.
I love that oil.
I was recently on a professional development weekend, and the girls who were talking about TikTok and social media, they're saying, you know, people don't want filters anymore. We want the raw and the real, and you know, that's really because we don't want to be seen to be better than anyone else. We just want to. I know you and I are both on this mission of just bringing other people up in whatever way we can, and because we like to give service to other people.
Yeah,
So
it's raising the vibration, Kate.
yes,
That's what we
exactly.
do. We raise the vibration.
Yes. So I'm going to read just a little bit more about myrtle for you. Boost your being. Myrtle has relaxing effects when inhaled, and it's uplifting and euphoric. It's useful for meditation and is balancing and supporting for your spirit. It's beneficial if you feel suppressed emotionally or confused, and we all go through those times with life, which is impacting your overall satisfaction by boosting the flow of energy throughout your body. A tip for singers, apply to the throat for a clearer sound. So that would also be a great one for people who are podcasting like us or on Facebook Lives, etc. It helps you balance your male and female's energies of by releasing inner conflict. And who doesn't have inner conflict? Working with your inner female and inner male is extremely eye-opening and rewarding, and greatly enhances your pathway for your spiritual evolution. And you can use that oil on your heart, your throat, your third eye, or wherever you feel intuitively inclined. So if I had some, I used to actually have myrtle sitting right next to me, but my oils move around, and I would often put it on my throat before I came on alive, just so I could speak clearly and to allow things to come out with some flow.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, I actually make roll-on perfumes for people for courage. I make lots of perfumes for different reasons, and I also do up oil blends intuitively for people because, funnily enough, I work with oils, but I actually have no sense of smell, which makes it quite challenging because I lost my sense of smell from trauma when I was 6, and it's never come back. So I can't taste foods like other people. I can get a whiff of something, but if you brought in fresh flowers, I wouldn't be able to smell them. So I go wholly and solely on what I'm guided to put in for people. And I actually made a perfume roller for my sister, and everyone has raved on about it that much, I'm now actually going to add it to my collection because apparently it's really good. And my sister said that she feels empowered and
Mm.
courageous when she
Mhm.
wears it. And I love that
Yes. Yeah.
because, you know, I believe in the last few years, everyone has lived through a trauma. I do.
Mm.
I do
Mm.
because of the world happenings. And that is part of the Great Awakening. We are being, the pot's being stirred. All the truths are coming to the surface, and they're challenging. They are.
Mm.
There's no other word for it. And
Mm.
when people live in constant fight or flight mode, it becomes fear, and fear creates illness. So that's
Mm.
where we come in with the courage side
Mm.
and
Mm.
things like oils and herbs and all sorts, because they heal naturally.
Mm. Mm.
And that's what I love. I love that, you know, what we do heals naturally.
Absolutely. Now, Nettie, you have a story of your own of courage. I know when we had a conversation about you coming on, and I said, well, you know, we're going to be talking about courage. And you said, oh, great. I want to tell my story, my most recent story. Well, I'm sure courage we need it every day, but this is a great story. So let's know what your story of courage is all about, and how you coped with it.
Well, the courage that I had to face was pretty huge. And I'll also incorporate angels in this because I, of course, needed them. And so my family and I decided we had had enough of living in Queensland, too hot, too busy, and we just wanted a more simpler life. So we packed up everything we owned, jumped in our cars, and drove uh, across all the states and relocated to Tasmania, which is where I'm originally from.
She
But
wanted
we
to get
just,
closer to me. No.
yes, and I wanted to be closer to Kay. But we just did it, spur of the moment. It literally was, as Kay can contest to that. I've said for years I've wanted to come back, but I never did. But just a chain of events had happened with us losing my son-in-law, the dog, you know, da 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 da, and it was just like, okay, we need to start again. So that was fine. First half of the trip went beautifully, and then things happened. So my daughter and I had to go in our cars and drop my youngest daughter and our teens off at the airport. Then we had to get across to the other side of Melbourne to take our cars to the Port Authority or something.
Mhm.
And that's fine. It was 6:30 in the morning. It was pitch black dark. Like I've never seen Melbourne so dark, and it didn't
Mm.
even get light until like 9:30 that morning. It was really weird.
Mm.
And we set our navmen, because we've never driven in Melbourne before, used to traffic, but this was next level terrifying. Now, our wonderful navmans took us right through the heart of the city when it shouldn't have. It should have took us on the outskirts. So for 2 hours, we got stuck on a loop. We couldn't get off. And the traffic was literally like, and nobody gives way there. They run right up, nearly hit your car, lay on the horn, and they could see that we had Queensland plates on, so we really had no idea what we were doing. And it was terrifying. So in the end, it got that bad because our phones were nearly on empty. If I had have lost my daughter in front of me, I would have been
Mm.
toast because my phone wouldn't work. And my daughter started to really like stress, understandably. She said, Mum, I don't know how to get us off this. And I'm like, I don't know how to either. So anyway, I saw, because we'd been round a few times, there was an emergency exit that you could pull over. You're not allowed to pull over, but I
Mm.
figured this is an emergency. So we
Exactly.
pulled, I said to her, pull over here, and we put the hazard lights on, and I rang a taxi company. And this taxi driver couldn't come. I couldn't understand what he was saying. A, I was stressed, and B, he had a foreign language, and I have a hearing deficit. So fester all that in together. But he
Yep.
was doing everything he could to help.
Mm.
In the end, I threw my hands up. I said, Angels, I need you. Like, this is really terrifying. Like, it was terrifying. I'm not even going to lie.
Oh,
I
yeah.
said,
Oh,
I'm terrified and my daughter's terrified. Please send help urgently, whatever way. I was nearly ready to call Triple O and say, sorry, I know
yes.
this was an emergency line, but help. And all of a sudden, I got told to look up, and I looked up, and in my rearview mirror, I saw two big trucks coming, and they had lights flashing.
Oh.
And they pulled up. One pulled over in front of my daughter. One pulled behind me, jumped out, put cones all around. And my daughter got out of the car, and by this time, she's just an absolute mess, because we were like, the kids are sitting at the airport by themselves. We're meant to be back to get on flights, you know.
Right. Yes.
And these lovely men jumped out, and my daughter said, please, can you put our cars on the back of your truck? You know, we'll pay whatever. I don't know where we were going to pay with whatever, and he said, we're not allowed to do that. And anyway, so he was really great. This guy, he was fantastic. He calmed my daughter down. They came over to my car. I was calm, but I was stressed. And he said, okay, show me your phones. And my phone was pretty well dead, because the navman was draining the battery, or the Google Maps, not Navman, sorry.
Yep.
But each time we went under a tunnel, it would cut out, so it would reset itself, and that's what it was doing. It was resetting itself.
Oh, yes, yes.
And he said, have you got an iPhone? And my daughter said, yes. He goes, pass me your iPhone. He scrolled up, went into Google Maps, and he ticked no tolls.
Yes.
And he said, now this will take you around the road. You'll be there in 10 minutes. Like 2 hours ago, we could have been there in 10 minutes.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. So there's just an example of, and things just kind of went to crap from there, because I actually missed my flight for all of this happening. And it was just, but you know what? The whole time I kept saying, you are a strong, resilient woman, Jeanette. So what? There's other flights. This will be okay, you know. And I just kept saying that to myself, but also my angels kept reassuring me, all is well, all is well. So, you know, that might not sound very much to other people, but for us, it was terrifying. It was literally like we were in another country. Didn't know where to go, what to do.
Yes.
And nobody ever knew we were moving. We literally just up and moved. So I couldn't ever call anyone to help, because, like, who do you call in the middle of Melbourne?
Yes.
So, yeah, and I tell you what, I used oils that day. I had always had them in my bag. And when I got to the airport and finally got to have a cup of tea, I smothered myself in. So and luckily, and, you know, it all worked out, because I was so stressed. I thought, oh, gosh, I hope I'm not sandwiched in on the plane. Please, angels, help me, because I'm very stressed, you know, and I get claustrophobic.
Yes.
And when I finally got on my flight, the two seats next to me, and they changed the plane. They actually upgraded the plane. So the seats were really, really big, like business class.
Oh,
and
nice.
No one in the two seats next to me. So I actually got to lay across the whole three seats. I asked the air hostess if it was okay, and she said absolutely. And I had the most amazing flight. And then, so, you know, it's all about, for me, the courage was staying in my moment, not falling apart, and being able to not control the situation, because that was out of my control. But I called in my angels. They sent the help, whether that's from the cameras, whatever. I don't know, don't care, but they came.
2 trucks. I mean, that's pretty amazing to have a couple of trucks stop, like, because they're usually in the zone. They're usually impatient. They're the ones blowing the horns. They're the ones.
They were amazing. They were, and this gentleman, like, we just couldn't stop thanking him. He said, look, if you were my mum or sister, I would hope someone would stop for them, you know. And so I could still see all the good in that.
Yes.
And a great thing is, I know I will never, ever, ever in my lifetime live in Melbourne. So
well, I've been over there recently, and they're doing a lot of change to the freeway there. And on the way to, actually going to see, I don't know if Cedar's still on, but I'd head out to a certain place, and because they're doing roadworks up, they'd have like 3 lanes all next to each other, and on Google Maps tells you to stick to something, but you don't know which of the 3 or 4 that you've got to go through. No signage, and really a disaster waiting to happen with traffic conditions, and yes, that feeling of cars flying past. So I think the key here is for all of us to remember that we can call for help. I mean, my story always is, dear God, you sort it. that's what I will say, or dear God, or call in the angels. Dear God, my thing a few years ago, I wanted to go to Darwin, not Darwin, I've just been there, to Western Australia. And I had 4 children. I was leaving, similar scenario. Oh, I was leaving my family home because of certain things that had gone down, and I wanted to go to Perth to see my stepson. And I just said, dear God, I want to go to Perth. I don't know how to get there. You sort it. And it was 2 days, actually 3 days later, and I was with a friend, and he said, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm out of home. I've got to leave the situation where I was. And I either want to go to Queensland or Darwin, but Perth, but I'd rather go to Perth. And he said, well, we're going on Friday. Why don't you come with us? And it was amazing because they had all these destinations sorted. And because I was the mum with the 4 kids, I got the spare double bed, and I got the, prime, and I had other adults that were looking out for me. And, that was really, truly a gift of support that was given to me at a time when I really needed it. So in the comments, let's know, have you reached out to the angels or to God or to another being, or do you use your guardian angels? Let's know if you've got a situation, or maybe this is something that has hopefully prompted you to go down that track.
Yes, I just want to say a shout out, if I may.
Yes.
I just want to say a big hi to Leslie Gewen. She's a very special lady in my life, has been since I was a very young teen, and I can't wait to catch up. So I'm very excited. I also wanted to talk, if I may, because we're discussing courage. I follow a mother and daughter on TikTok. They are known as the Kiwi Nutters. And they are the most amazing women. They call themselves Minnie and Mouse. That's not their real names, but Mouse actually has several mental health conditions, and Minnie is her mum, so she looks up. She's her carer, and they come on TikTok every day, at least twice a day, and they talk about their journey. They talk about the truth behind having bipolar or, PTSD or a whole conglomerate of things, and how the mental health system is so broken. And I just wanted to say, how much courage that took, because as a nurse, I know that mental health is stigmatized. The media make it like that if anyone's got a mental health condition, they should be, you should be terrified of them because they're, raging murderers. And that's not the case. It's really not the case. And they are destigmatizing all the rubbish that goes with it. Now that is courage, because as you know, on any social platform you get flack, and they get the trolls, trust me. Really vile people that come on, and that, you know what, they don't even block them. They just say, wow, these are the kinds of things that put us in this headspace.
Yes.
So I just wanted to call that out as well. So if anyone is interested, they are absolutely amazing. The Kiwi Nutters, mother and daughter, Minnie and Mouse. And I tell you what, you will laugh, you will cry, you will feel, and it helps you, because I myself suffer severe anxiety. I have since I was a tiny little girl, and I can pinpoint it right to the minute I got it. And that anxiety played such a role in my life, because as anyone who suffers from anxiety, those comments in your head, telling you that you're always in danger, don't go out today, you could get killed in a car accident, or because that's what mine does. And I always had to override that, and that's exhausting. And again, that takes courage to get in the car when your brain's telling you you're going to die if you go out in that car. So
yes.
You see, like what you said, Kay, everybody suffers with things that they have to have courage to face, even in your daily life.
Absolutely. Sometimes, it's just actually one of my stories this week is I said yes to a day teaching, and I haven't been teaching for, I think I did 3 days at the end of last year. And you get up and you go, oh, that's right. I've said yes to a day's teaching. It's at a beautiful little school called Forest, and I know they'll be nice country kids and
Yes.
whatever. But my head is still going, why did I say yes to that day? Why am I doing, but I also know that, once I get up and I get in
Yep.
the car
You'll
and
love
off
it.
I go, I'll be fine and I'll
Yep.
probably have a great day. And it's just our head that comes in to distract possibility. So we've always got to move forward and not let those fear-based thoughts take over. Now, so what I will be and what I always wear is Valor. And this is the oil, well, one of the many oils for courage. And I simply place it on my wrists, put a little bit on my wrists, and I don't know whether you can tell, it's a beautiful color blue,
Oh,
and
yes, you can see
activate
that.
it, smell it, and then move it around my aura. Or you can see the beautiful blue here. It's got some blue tansy in it, so it's deeply calming, but also an oil that gives you a sense of boosting your confidence. And so another way to use this oil is have the oil on your wrist and just sit quietly and give yourself a valor balance for just about a minute or so, and sit quietly and just tune in to the energy of the oil and just feel your whole aura, your physical body, your breath, your mind, and everything just come to a really beautiful standstill.
I love that. Do you know, when I was younger, oils weren't around like they are today.
Mm.
So before I got into oils, something that really helped me, especially I know so many people are struggling financially at the moment with everything that's going on in our world, is I actually used to buy vanilla from the shop, vanilla
Yes,
essence. And I used to put a
yes.
little bit on my hands and just smell it because I love the smell of vanilla. And that actually calmed me all the time. And then obviously I learnt the value of oils and what they
Mhm.
could do, how they could help heal, etc. And absolutely amazing. So, if you are in a position where you think, well, yeah, it's all good and well to talk about oils, but I don't get paid and I can't get them, get something out of your pantry that smells good to you, just to
Yes.
start your journey,
Or
because then
just
you can link that back to your courage.
yes, or go and pick a flower, something
Yes,
that
yes,
smells,
something that gives you
something
something that
like
feels good. I was just thinking pantry
yes,
because most
yes,
people have vanilla essence in their
yes,
pantry.
yes, yes.
This is what I use, Kay. I actually make. I don't like sage. I don't like burning sage.
Mhm.
Um,
Yes.
because I get ash everywhere and I've nearly caught my house on fire several times, and so
Oh,
is my daughter. So I
oh, dear.
created sprays that I go around and I actually spray
Mm.
myself and my
Yes.
environment.
Yep.
And I make all different ones for calming, for clearing, for so your oils as well are amazing
Mm.
for that as well.
Yes, I have my
Putting
little spray bottle here, so
yes,
cleansing
so
your
they're not
aura. Mm.
yes.
Fantastic. So now why smells work is because they, as we breathe them in, they go in through the limbic system of our brain. So they bypass the thinking part of our brain, and that helps to release old memories. And as we release old memories, it gives us an opportunity to bring in the new and to create a whole path forward. What have you got there?
As you said, release, surrender
Oh,
card came out, which
oh,
is the same
beautiful.
thing.
Mm.
Surrender and release. I love that. And Leslie said that she loves cloves. Beautiful.
Yes. Yep.
Beautiful.
Yeah, good idea. So in our thieves blend, we have cloves, which is I always say, I talk about that blend being very protective. And cloves is one of the highest antioxidants that of oils that there is. It's like way up here, and all the others start, down here on the scale. And so clove is a very, very powerful oil. And I know Leslie likes Valor too.
Well, yes,
He
she's
plays Valor daily. Yippee! So it's so exciting that Leslie you've joined, because I've known Leslie for, oh gosh, how many years, Leslie? A long time. And I've met you, Nettie, online. And when I discovered that you two know each other and have done, because you come from the same area in Tassie, so it's rather beautiful. So we are planning to get together sometime and who knows what we might create when we get together as well. I'm, sure we can come up with some sort of an event or something that would be pretty
Yes.
exciting, wouldn't it?
Well,
We've got.
Leslie's related to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know that. Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So, and I
Oh,
used to live literally across the road and down a house.
oh my
When
gosh.
I was a teen. Yeah, no, I've known Leslie. I love Leslie. And Leslie, many years ago, was also a nurse.
Yes.
And so it's definitely I was a nurse, Leslie, my sister, my daughter. So it certainly runs in our family.
Leslie says, same family bringing in a new
I
vibe
tried.
tribe.
Yeah. So and I know I can tell you, Leslie has her own book, and Leslie has faced courage more times
Yes.
than a person should have to. So Leslie can absolutely contest to being a courageous woman. And
Mm,
I just think that everyone needs to just stop and take access. No, that's not the right word. Like, sort of stop and look at their life and think, wow, I really am courageous because, I've done this in my life or I've done that. It doesn't matter what it looks like to anybody
mm,
else.
mm,
Like I said, some people getting out of bed, that's the most courageous thing they
mm,
can do because, they're not in a healthy way, or their mental health is suffering, but they still show up, they still turn up, they still, and like you said, Kay, you took that job at Forest School, and you're like, oh, why did I do that? But you will forge forward, you will go and do it, and you will have a great day, and you'll be
mm.
going, oh, I don't know what my brain was
What was
telling
I
me. But
worried about? Yeah.
exactly, but that's the ego. The ego is trained to
Yes.
keep us safe, and
Mm,
because you haven't been out for a little while, it's like, oh, hang on, no, I want to hang at home and paint. I don't want to hang
yes.
home and paint, but I don't want to go and do that job.
Yes. And for me, it's what, you're around young children and you can have a bit of an impact on other people when you give, yourself of, I know it's a job, but I always go in the mode of giving service. And I think young children are highly under understood, people misunderstood, and a lot of children today, they find courage hard. A lot of kids find it hard to turn up to school and fit in with the mold and, do what you're told and all those kinds of things. So you just never know what hearts and what little beings or big beings you may have an influence on. And everybody does in their own way. And hello, Deb Simmons. Thanks for joining us. So it's great to see people here, but I would love some interaction. What do you do for courage? So self-talk is a big one for me. I had to turn my self-talk around, and I always, when I work with my clients, I talk about, right, let's draw a line in the sand. So you're drawing a line in the sand and you're stepping over that line. And, you may have to draw lots of lines in the sand as we go along, but each time we come to a point and we say, right, we're ready for change. We're ready. Like, if we are not happy in our life, we need to do something about it. And one of my things was I wasn't actually happy teaching 5 days a week. That wasn't something that was in the zone,
Alignment with you.
in alignment, wasn't in alignment with joy. It wasn't in alignment with how much time I wanted to spend away from home and working in someone else's system, so to speak. So when I found essential oils, I mean, I've become a Reiki master. I'd looked into a lot of alternate healing. I'd done Touch for Health. I've done quite a few things, but for me, essential oils that's what lit me up. Now, something different's going to light lots of different people up, but that lit me up because I could see the value of these oils and I know what they did for me in my life. So I just started sharing and talking and then exploring, how can I put myself out there in the world and share these beautiful gifts of nature with other people. Now, Leslie's commented, oh, yes, 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 I've lived that journey of as misunderstood, and hell, yes, I so love her.
Yeah,
And I know
I love
from
them
Leslie's
too.
Yeah, and from Leslie's point of view, it is what has pushed her into living life with the attitude and the energy that she is moves forward with her life with at the moment. So,
You know,
yeah.
Kay, a moment ago you were talking about what your courage is.
Mm,
I was thinking about my courage and I just had a bit of an epiphany. My courage is telling the truth
mm,
because I've lied my whole life, especially to myself. And I learned to be a good liar because I lived in very bad domestic violence. And you learn to lie. You learn to tell the doctors a totally different story of what happened to you. You learn to tell your friends, your colleagues, etc. So I became a very good liar. I'm not
mm,
proud of that, but you do what you do in the moment. So courage for me, true
mhm,
courage for me, is telling the truth. Now let me explain that. If you rang me and said, "Hey, Jeanette, are you okay?" I would say, "Yeah, I'm great." And I wouldn't be. I would be
mm,
anything but great. But I told you what you needed to hear because
mm,
people don't want to hear, your sad stories. Well, that's what I thought. And
mm,
like people would say, "Hey, do you need anything?" Like if they knew you hadn't worked for a while. No, no, we're good, we're fine. And yet the cupboards were empty, the fridge, nothing to eat or drink. So my courage is telling the truth. So now when my friends ring me and say, "Hey, are you okay?" I will say, "No, right now I'm not okay. I'm going to be okay, but right now I could
mhm,
really use a friend to talk to. Are you in a space to take that conversation?" Because it's very important for me to ask because, Kay, you could call me and say, "Hey, are you okay?" Because you wanted to tell me something that you were struggling with. And then I blurt out all this stuff and
mm,
you really can't cope with all of my stuff. So it's very important to me to always ask, are you in the space to take my stuff? Um,
mm. That's a
but
good.
courage for me, true courage is truth.
Mhm, mhm. Yes, and look, I fully understand that. I lived with DV for about 8 years, and not too many people knew about what was going on for me,
Yep,
and
yep.
until things came out of the woodwork that forced me into a situation. Well, actually, I was in a situation where I had to care for my children. So when you do that, you just keep on keeping on. And I know I was in a situation where I felt like I didn't want to put another log on the fire in the scenario. So you sort of just kept on keeping on, to rise above whatever was happening because of the children. But then you realize, and what I sadly realized in the long run, it was the worst thing I did. But then you've got to work out how to get yourself out of that situation.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of energy and a lot of oils as well. By the time court cases were happening, that's when I discovered Valor. And that was the oil that got me through those hard times, along with my frankincense. And actually,
Oh, Frank.
I have this beautiful kit of oils that I started with Young Living, and I've gone through every oil in that kit and named up which oil. Every oil in that kit has a powerful effect on us to
Yep,
activate our courage and our worthiness. So when I use oils, I use them with intention,
yep.
and that is so important, because then we know with quantum physics these days and quantum healing that our thoughts create our reality. So it's a great way to retrain what thoughts might be on autopilot from the past. It's that draw a line in the sand, put on my frankincense. I'm strong, I'm powerful, I am worthy. And we've got I got Rebel saying, didn't even realize I was in DV. Only years later, space time to heal.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I read that. I was going to comment
Yes.
on that. And that's
Yeah.
something very, very common. People will
Yes.
say, how would you not know you're in domestic violence? Some
Yes.
people don't realize that what's going on in their life is domestic violence. It can be,
Mm,
financial control, sexual control,
mhm,
even just controlling where you go, what time you get home, or coming with you everywhere you go so that you're,
mm,
you're watched constantly. It doesn't have to always be black and blue eyes and broken
Mm,
teeth, and
mm,
domestic violence comes under a whole window of things.
exactly.
So thank you. I've just got Facebook username, but Rebel, did you
Yeah,
say?
that's Rebel. Yeah, you
Thank you,
Rebel.
Rebel. Thank you for bringing that to
Yeah,
attention, because a
yes,
lot of people just think they're going mad. They do,
yes,
because they're
yes.
like, well, I didn't understand. I had no idea.
And when you get to that point of feeling helpless, you can call in your angels. You can call in your guardian
Oh,
angels.
yes.
And when I do healing work now and I'm with people, I will call in all the angels of love, light, and healing. And, when I close my eyes and tune in, I just feel and see the energy of just like hundreds of healing angels that come in. It's not just one or two often.
Yep.
It can be a whole chorus of
Yep.
angels that are there.
Absolutely.
And you know that you're not there, you are not on your own. So do you have tell me a little bit about your angel stories from was that a childhood thing for you, Nettie?
So I had a near-death experience when I was 6, nearly 7. My appendix had burst, and my parents just thought that I was very, very sick. And back in the day, you didn't go to a doctor unless you were dying, because you just didn't. So by the time they did get me medical help, they just said, get this child to Royal Melbourne now. Don't wait for an ambulance. Go. Just get in the car and go. And when they were, because I was laying across the back seat, because I'm 21 now, you didn't have to wear seatbelts. So I was just laying across the back seat, and they stopped at the red light. Now, I remember it was raining, because I was looking out the window, and the traffic light was all shimmery, from the
Mm,
rain. And when we stopped at a red light, the back door opened, and this huge, huge, tall man got in the car. And he looked at me and he spoke, but he didn't actually use his mouth. But that just seemed normal to me. And he said, hello, I'm Michael. And I said hello back in my mind. And then I looked at my parents and thought, wow, how rude. They didn't even talk to him. And I
mm,
thought they'd picked up a hitchhiker, because the day before that, they
mm,
had been in the car I had been in the car with my siblings, and Mum was talking about hitchhiking, because a man was hitchhiking, and my eldest sister, said, what's he doing? So she said, he's
mm,
hitchhiking. And so I thought they'd picked up a hitchhiker. Well, when we got to he just sat there, and I just felt this calm, just calm. And I
mm,
was wide awake. I wasn't delirious. I was very unwell.
mm,
And when we got to the hospital, I got put on a trolley, and the doctors were on one side, Mum and Dad were on the other, and they said, give her a kiss. We don't know if we can do anything. She's very unwell. They didn't know what was happening, but
mm,
I was sick. And I looked at the foot of the bed, and Archangel Michael, because it was Archangel Michael who came and sat in the car. And I didn't realize that at the time. And he turned around and said, Jeanette, everything is as it should be. You're going to be okay. This is Raphael, and he's going to
mm,
come with you and stay with you. And they've been with me every day of my life, every
mm,
single day. And they
mm,
stayed with me the whole time I was in hospital, because my parents didn't come back for a long, long time. So I was there totally alone, very afraid,
mm.
very, very ill. And I actually became a nurse because of the nurse that looked after me, because I loved.
Oh, yes. Oh, wow. Amazing story. There are so many angel stories that everyone experiences them differently. And some people are seers, some people are hearers, and some people just sense a presence. So, and
Yeah,
maybe that is that sense of, being okay when, even if you're not feeling okay, there's this kind of a sense of reassurance. I know at the beginning of my marriage separation, I can remember I was just so devastated because I had 3 young children, thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to support these kids, and what am I going to do, and all sorts of things. Where my mind will go racing and racing. But deep within me, I had a little spark of light, which was hope, or something. There was this. It was quite interesting, because as devastated as I was, which was huge, this tiny little thing was minute, but I knew that that was something that was going to grow, and it certainly
yeah.
did.
It's a
And
knowing, isn't it? It's an inner knowing without
mm,
knowing.
mm.
Yeah.
And it
No.
doesn't mean that it's going to be a smooth sailing, but it just does mean that you do feel supported, held, uh, and then the more you go with that, the more things fall into place for you. I know I've actually moved back to Melbourne for 4 years, and I decided to take my children away from the situation that I was in, and the house across the road from mum and dad came up for rent. So we knew the owners, and they were a Greek family. And as a child, what didn't occur to me till it took me a while, I suppose, to get out of the space I was in. But I remembered that we used to go. They used to have christenings. The Greek community have big christenings, and remember going to their parties, and they'd get in a circle and dance with their hanky. And anyway, this particular one, and I remember the sugar almonds we got in little lovely little bags and things like that. But we danced in that room, or the Greek men, and there was lots of dancing. And we went outside. I remember going outside, and one of the Greek chaps, we were looking up at the moon, and there was a big glow around the moon, and they said, well, that means it was a full moon, and it's going to rain in 2 or 3 days, and it actually did. But years later, quite a few years later, I actually gave birth to my 4th child in that room. And I often look back now and think, wow, something was there protecting me, guiding me, nurturing me, and gave up this house. It just came up in perfect timing for me to live there with my children. So it was quite amazing.
I love that. Yeah, I've had so many miracles in my
Mm,
lifetime. And something that I teach in my women's circles, because people will often say, well, I wish I could see, like, because the different clairs, people have different clairs. So some, like you said, some
mm,
can see, some can hear, some can smell, some can,
yeah.
but seeing isn't believing. It's
Mm,
really not, because you can show people things and they will still poo-poo, or I want the science behind that, or believing is seeing. The more
mm.
you believe, the more gets shown to you. That it's truth. The more you believe, the more gets shown to you. And
And
that's something that I've always worked with.
and true belief comes from, yes, that believing, but then when you experience something from that belief, it's like a muscle, because that grows and expands, and it becomes stronger and thicker,
Yep.
and you learn to rely on that. So one of my favorite sayings is, fear knocked on the door, but faith answered.
Yes. Oh, I
And
love
that
that.
that was something I read during one of my, darkest moments. And it is that thing of, yes, we can be, like we talked about earlier, we can be so scared of something, but it's just our mind
Yep.
racing away. And, look, I know other people in situations like mine, and they had a husband that had cheated on them, and they had 4 kids. And I know, I'll never forget, this one lady said to me, oh, my husband cheated on me, so I just got in the caravan, I packed the kids in there, and we drove out the drive. Now, and that was her sense of, um, belief and courage to do
Yep.
that. And I kind of think, gee, wish I'd had that courage. But, for
But
me, it
you
came with
did. You
raising
did.
different times. No,
Yeah.
because I put up with a husband that was all over the place for too many years, because I was so entrenched in the concept of keeping the family together. I
Correct. But you
really
still
did.
found the courage to
Yes.
change that in the
Yes.
end.
Yeah. Not until he left me. I put up with too much for too long.
Uh,
So another reason why I get on and do these things, because I want to encourage people to go, this is not working for me. If it's not working for you, what are you going to do about it? Don't wait until that you've got no choice, or, start doing things, even if it is just changing your thinking. And then the next week it might be changing an action. And the week after it might be inviting something completely new, or going in a different direction, because you just need to do it. Otherwise, you're going to keep yourself, or potentially you can keep yourself in a situation that, is not savory, or not pleasant. And why do we need to do that? Life is short. I'm in my 60s. I'm heading closer to my 70s now, and even more every day I think, listen, life is short. And it didn't feel like it was short way back then, but it suddenly feels short now. So make the most of each and every day is always my message.
Yeah, I love
And as
that.
Rebel says, /Liz, miracles do happen.
Yeah, they do.
Exactly. So, and you can be a co-creator of those miracles by putting your mindset, by using your tools, by learning how to meditate, by taking a walk, by, making a change. If you are stuck in your groove somewhere, the only person who's going to get you out of that groove is you. And
Yeah.
it may take somebody around you to be part of that catalyst, but that's only going to happen when you are open to inviting the change in.
And real miracles happen when you stop listening to other people.
Oh, yes, that too.
I
Absolutely.
I did
Yes.
a reading for a lady a couple of days ago, and that was something that came up in her reading. And, it's so powerful because I never tell people what I'm doing, like just packing up and moving, because people will always give you their opinion, whether you asked for it or not. And it is just that, their opinion. That is what they would do. Oh, no, you're silly to move to Tasmania. It's cold. It's wet down there. It's freezing. No, I love the cold. I haven't even put a jacket on yet. And it's what I want to do with my life. You go and
Yes.
do your life and leave me to mine, because it's like so many people, they'll say, oh, I'm going to start a new business. And I use this metaphor in one of the, what I was talking to with the lady. And I said, so many people will say, oh, I'm going to do a candle business. Oh, don't do that. The market's saturated with
Mm.
candles. You're right, it is. But they're your candles. That's like
Yes.
where I live, I'm surrounded with vineyards. I have a vineyard in my own yard.
Mm.
It's not mine, but
Mm.
it's on the property that I'm in. And I said to this lady, I said, everywhere I turn here, there's vineyards. There's Martha's vineyard, there's Kay's vineyard, there's Jeanette's vineyard, there's Liz's vineyard, all in a row from each other. There's
Mm.
vineyards. Everywhere I look, there's grapevines. And now you imagine if Martha had looked at Kay and said, oh, well, she's doing a vineyard, there's no point me doing it now. And then Liz said,
Yes.
oh, well, me either.
Yes.
Because go to a bottle shop and see how many different wines there are.
I was going to
Don't
say,
listen
if
to
there wasn't
anybody
vineyards,
else.
how would the general population survive?
Well, exactly. But my point being is,
Mm.
don't
Yes.
share your stories too soon with people, because that people will always talk you out of your
Yes.
story.
Absolutely. And that's because most of us are on default a lot of the time down dreary lane.
Yeah.
So, Nettie, we have had a great conversation. It's always a delight to spend some time with you. Our time is nearly up. I did post your link to your Facebook page. I think I can probably post it again.
Thank
So
you.
it's
It's
coming up there as Facebook Soul Nourish 66, but I know it's called
It's
Angelic
angelic mystic realm. Yeah.
Realm.
Um,
Uh,
just
yeah.
somebody
Yes.
just put up, Facebook user, life is short, make new choices. And
Yes.
funnily enough, the final card I just pulled for us all is the change card, which is
Yes.
making your choices. If you're not happy with your life,
Yep.
change it. Stand
Mhm.
in your courage, because trust me, you have plenty of it. You just got to dig deep within. Don't look for courage on the outside.
Mm.
Your courage comes from within, and you have so much of it. And call in your angels and say, I need courage. I want to do this and make great change.
That's a beautiful segue to rounding things up. So look out for Nettie, go and grab a reading off her, connect with her some way. She often does lives on her Facebook group. If you are interested in a transformational session with me, you can go to my website, khamilton.com. I work with color. I draw your energy, and you have a signature drawing. I give you essential oil recommendations and affirmations, and that will help you to step over the line because sometimes we do need other people. You can also find me on Facebook at Kay's Essential Oil Wisdom, which is a private Facebook group for people who want to learn more about oils, take a deep dive. So thank you very much, Nettie. I look forward to our next conversation. I will be on spiritual events tomorrow night at 7:15, and I think I'm going to encourage Nettie to join me there as well. So if she'd like to, that would be great. 7:15 tomorrow night on Spiritual Events Directory. Thank
I
you
will
each
be
and every
honoured.
one for being here, and thanks for your comments. Go forth in your courage. Leave the fear at the door. Don't even invite it in. So bye for now. All our love, Nettie and Kay.
Love you all.
Bye. If I have to go up here and find the